the stuff, still going.
Whoa, what about that one?
There's no way to stop him. He's straight through. We have just seen magic.
It's the Broncos and the Dragons in the second semi-final.
It is sudden death also. The winner takes on the Melbourne Storm next week in the preliminary final. The loser is gone for 2009. Here is the Brisbane Broncos lineup. A couple of injury worries coming into the game, but Justin Hodges, his hamstring is okay, and he will take his place in the lineup. Likewise, Peter Wallace, of course, the captain, and 5'8" is Darren Lockyer, and the coach is Ivan Henjak. The Dragons had Michael Wayman pass the fitness test. He's okay. Darius Boyd, likewise. Ben Hornby is their captain and halfback. Their coach, the former Broncos coach, is Wayne Bennett. Out comes Ben Hornby, leading out the minor premiers, the St George Illawarra Dragons, onto a packed Suncorp Stadium. They have plenty of fans here, as you would expect. They like to travel. They have fans all around the country as well. And after losing in week one, all the pressure, it would seem, on the minor premiers coming to the Broncos Stadium. But it is a venue they know at, they play well at. We will wait and see how they fare tonight, but it is sudden death. The winner, of course, moving on to take on the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne next week. The loser's season is over for 2009. Listen to this reception the Broncos get as Darren Lockyer leads them out. As you would expect here in one of the premier sporting venues around the world, a tremendous atmosphere here. There will be a pro-Broncos crowd, but they will need to turn around some recent results against the Red and Whites to move on to take on the Melbourne Storm next week, Greg.
Yeah, look, we can go through the record of both sides up against each other. I'll just go back to round 24. Brisbane 12, the Dragons 2. They didn't allow the Dragons to get across the try line. I think they grabbed plenty of confidence out of that. Plenty of talk about the Dragons and the Brisbane Broncos over the last 5 or 6 years, but I think that is the most relevant stat. 12-2, only a month ago.
They're impressive on that occasion. Our referees tonight are Tony Archer and Ben Cummins. We're underway in semi-final number 2. The kickoff bouncing off the chest of Ben Hornby, taken by Justin Paul, and then coming down to meet him, terrific tackle by Nick Kenny and Ashton Sims. A nervous moment for the Dragons to get this one underway. Look at Kenny underneath and Sims over the top. They hit him and hit him hard. Here's Matt Pryor playing it for Young. Now Wayman met another solid tackle. McCulloch was there underneath, chopping his legs out from underneath him. They take it forward up towards the 40-metre line. They'll play it there on the last. And it's Hornby who has it charged down by David Taylor. Boyd getting back there will pick it up. But the front rower comes centre. Is there to stop him 10 metres out from his own line.
Oh, great set there by the Broncos. Good pressure on the kicker. Ben Hornby out of dummy half. Ashton Sims, the former Dragon, coming up with a couple of big shots on his former teammates.
Here's Young again from dummy half, giving it to Sailor, who had plenty of room to wind up in then, but there is a bit of speed eventually about the Broncos line, and they got to him and dragged him back to the 30. Now Smith set upon. Three-man tackle once again. David Taylor was underneath. Day was involved as well, but they'll both be left on the ground. And as a result, no pressure on Soward's kick. It goes down the middle of the field, left by Carmichael Hunt as it turned out. Winterstein picks it up and he brings it back out to the Broncos 20. They've recovered well, the Dragons, in that second set of 6. Now the Broncos work it away, and a high tackle immediately by Michael Wayman on Jarrell Yao-Yee.
Well, they just relinquished all the good work done by the Dragons. Two full sets, got through them, got to their kicks both times. The first charge down, the second found the ground and put the Broncos under a bit of pressure, but a high shot there, a lazy arm from Michael Wayman has released it all. Lockyer finds touch right on halfway.
We'll give the Broncos a chance towards the back end of this set to put some real pressure on the Dragons' defensive line. We'll wait and see how they hold up There have been some holes there in recent times, of course. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Their only victory, as it turned out, sealed them on a premiership for them against the Eels back in round 26. Lockyer's ball back on the inside for Sims. He plays it for McCulloch. It goes to Wallace, who had Kenny moving up in support. Hunt was also there. Grabbed though by Dean Young, and there's nowhere to go. 28 metres out, he'll play it. A couple of plays left in this set of 6. Lockyer gives it to Hodges, who missed their final training session, which is because of nothing more than general soreness, is the word coming out of the Broncos camp. No dramas with the hamstring complaint, which was the smoke and mirror stuff from the Broncos, if you like. The kick goes up. Wendell Saylor came down with it. A good catch by the veteran who played so many big games on this very surface. And here he is again tonight in enemy territory.
Terrific.
He has been through the past couple of seasons, of course, since joining up with the Red and Whites back in the NRL. It was a good catch. Yeah,
terrific stuff by Wendell. Really attacked the ball. Matt Pryor pushes one out the back. Ben Hornby has to go back and retrieve it. Looking for some space. Good defence. Sam Thaiday and Lockyer make sure of it.
Boy, he came in and crunched him, didn't he? That would have rattled Hornby. The contact there from Thaiday. Here's Young. Giving it off to Justin Paul, who will play it there on the last. 20 out from his own line. Some real pressure coming up here. Soward is deep, though. In fact, no pressure, no advance from the Broncos at all towards Jamie Soward. That is a surprise given where they were on the field.
He kicked that from inside his 20. The Broncos do bring it back into the Dragons' half, but you're right, could have forced even a shorter one. Carmichael Hunt makes a couple of good metres out of dummy half.
Perhaps they are wary of putting pressure on Soward and forcing him his hand and watching him run, making the choices for him despite even being in his own 20. They did no pressure at all as they came down the field. Here they are again. McCulloch will play it. Parker goes back to the left-hand side. Wallace, cut-out ball for Folau, who had Winterstein coming back on the angle. The Sailor made the tackle 5 metres out. Now Winterstein from dummy half. He goes deep for Wallace, who will kick across the field. A chance for Yao Yi and also Hodges. Up there, getting up above them, though. A good catch was made by Darius Boyd.
Well, they have been under the pump, the Broncos. That's another good take from one of the back 3. Wendell Saylor pulled off a good one earlier. Darius Boyd did a terrific job there to catch the ball and stay in the field of play. Big defence by the Broncos. How quick is their line moving?
Now Wayman taking it forward. Thought about an offload. David Taylor was thinking about one as well and was up there just in case the ball was popped out the back, looking for an intercept as they take it forward through Cray. Now Soward again, kicking from deep inside his own half at his own 30-metre line. He picked out Hunt, though, on the full, who brings it back at speed. Straight at Pryor and also the man who kicked it, Soward. He brought it almost back to the halfway line. They go across it now through Winterstein. What a sight he is, Carmichael Hunt. And he just tucks the ball on the kick return. And charges like the biggest man in the game.
Well, both sides have been perfect so far. 4 from 4 for the Dragons, 3 from 3. And in their 4th set, the Brisbane Broncos. The Dragons have been bringing it out from their own end, though, and have been the ones under pressure.
Lockyer coming back to the short side, giving it off for Thaiday. He'll play it just outside the Dragons' 20. Lockyer again. Going to them, grubbering, an awkward one for Soward. His contact will take the ball dead. And the Broncos earn themselves 6 more tackles from a goal line dropout.
He punched that hard, Darren Lockyer, then. And I think Jamie Soward was waiting for the bounce to pop up. It didn't. It just kept rolling along the ground. It was stuck to the ground there. Normally, by that time, they pop up the ball. Gives you some sort of chance, but Jamie Soward could only just get his foot to that. That was a tough one.
You could see Wendell Saylor there in the background. He was ready, had it got past Jamie Soward. Now Taylor brings it back. Just sauntering up to them before he puts the foot down about 30 metres out from the Dragons' line. Here's McCulloch. Going to the left-hand side for Corey Parker, who pops the ball out the back. Taylor picks it up. He runs towards Soward. They like that matchup, the Broncos, obviously, but I'd like to see Taylor getting it with a lot more steam under his belt. Now Sims. just outside the Dragons 20. Sucking in the big ones is David Taylor. Wallace now goes to Lockyer. He's got Hunt, close proximity. Now Hodges going towards Hornby and also Cooper. He comes in to complete the tackle about 15 out, or rather 5 metres out from the Dragons line. Lockyer. Friday back on the angle. Hard man to stop at times from close range, but they accommodate him on this occasion. Last play for Lockyer to put it into the air. A shallow one, an easy one for Soward, as it turned out, to wrap it up. Not the kick they were looking for at the back end of that set.
No, their kicks have been good so far. You don't want to waste those sorts of opportunities. It needs to be better than that. They've spent so much time down this end of the field. They don't want to relieve the pressure like that. Darren Lockyer getting... It was an in-between sort of kick. I don't think he had in his mind exactly what he wanted to do. In the end, not high enough and too deep, and an easy one for Jamie Soward.
Here's Young coming down the short side for Ben Cray, one of the real weapons in the NRL. We'll see if they can utilise his talents here tonight. Another big shot on Justin Paul, and again it was Sims there to meet him. Former Dragon firing up against his old team tonight. Cray with the ball in his right arm, targeting Lockyer, who made a good tackle on him. You see the contact again between Sims and Paul. The kick from Soward goes up. Winterstein had a swing and a miss. Picked up by Soward. He almost got away from Wallace. He's still standing there. Got it back for Pryor. The Broncos scrambling. Parker makes a stop. But it will be 6 more tackles for the Dragons, or no, it won't.
Gee, saying that Winterstein didn't get a touch to the football.
Boy, oh boy, there's a call, and perhaps a very lucky one for the Brisbane Broncos.
Winterstein coming in. Well, there's no doubt that Winterstein got a touch to the ball. Some desperate stuff there. Peter Wallace hanging on desperately to Jamie Soward, who looked as though he was going to spin his way out of the tackle and over the try line. Here's the Dragons. It's their turn to get off their line quick and put some pressure on the Broncos.
Their first real chance to make them work hard from inside their own 20. 10 minutes gone. No score as yet. In the second semi-final, the Broncos up against the Dragons. Two clubs with so much history between them in big matches. Now, there's a concern here for Justin Hodges. Slowly back to his feet.
He slipped into that tackle there. Jeremy Smith, one of the players involved in it. I think he might have collected the knee of Jeremy Smith, but he's up and running.
As is Darius Boyd, who brings it back on the kick return, and Nick Kenny timed it nicely, launched himself at Boyd. As you saw Hodges rejoining the defensive line on that right-hand side of the field. He looks to be okay. Now Hornby giving it off for Wayman. And the penalty to the Dragons, for the Broncos being up inside the 10.
Well, Nick Kenny, the man called offside. His defence has been terrific so far tonight. Here's Justin Hodges. He slips and bangs straight into the knee of Jeremy Smith. Accidental. That's what slowed him up a bit. And it was Nick Kenny who's standing, well, he's standing 3 metres right in front of Tony Archer too. Just not thinking what he was doing.
And perhaps the Dragons spent the pre-game period watching the Bledisloe Cup match between the Wallabies and the All Blacks, because Jamie Soward will attempt a penalty goal here from 42 metres out. They did this last week against the Parramatta Eels. We know what happened there. They went down 25 points to 12. I'm going to say again, this is curious.
Circumstances different. They haven't had the Broncos under the pump like they had the Eels last week. But a 42 or a 41 metre penalty kick is something you don't see that often. A great chance for the Broncos to put it into touch and put some pressure on, because really they haven't put the Broncos under any sort of pressure. So it's not a sign of desperation, but still a strange decision.
Soward is a nice striker of the ball. This one is wide to the left-hand side. They will get it back from the goal line dropout from the 20. But boy, when you get a chance to put the Broncos under pressure early in the game, surely in a big game like this, you've got to take that chance, put it out take it down the field and see what you can do off the back of the set of 6. Ivan Henjak watching on with his coaching staff wouldn't be too upset about seeing the Dragons attempt a penalty goal from more than 40 metres out. Now Paul bringing it back is met solidly again. Nick Kenny. They must have fed him on raw steaks before this game because he is fired up tonight. Pulling off some big shots. Here he is again. So is Sims. They're hunting as a pack, the two of them. And now a turnover will give it straight back to the Broncos. Wittgenstein will have it almost back at the halfway line. It makes the call to go for the penalty goal attempt. Look, a very poor one right now.
Yeah, soft turnover there. Matt Pryor, the player. Good low shot by one of the Broncos, just forcing the ball out. Ashton Sims, whose defence, along with Nick Kenny, has been outstanding. Some big shots, takes it into the Dragons' half.
Here is Hodges. He'll play it just outside the Dragons' 40-metre line. Wallace to Thaiday, back on the angle, getting away from Ben Cray's tackle. The bookends close the gap. Wayman and Paul. Now McCulloch. Wallace goes to Lockyer. Players in motion. One of them is Taylor. Wound up there, but well stopped by Beau Scott, and also Jamie Soward played his role. Lockyer tips it on. Here's Kenny into a hole, giving it back to Lockyer. He fires it out the back. Taylor, draw and pass, and the Broncos will play from in front tonight. Lovely hands by two of the biggest men on the field. First up, Nick Kenny, and then David Taylor, and the Broncos lead 4-0.
He's been the Broncos' best, Nick Kenny. Outstanding. Number of carries comes to Darren Lockyer. A rush from Jeremy Smith, so he hits Kenny, who gets him behind the Dragons there. That's a great ball by Kenny, and a better one by Darren Lockyer. The no-look by the big man Dave Taylor. Wendell Saylor caught in field, and an easy one for the Broncos, who come back down the short side.
We're having a bit to talk about, the boys, David Taylor and Carmichael Hunt, but it will be very positive chat after the play they just put on to take the lead in this game. It was potentially the last game in the NRL for that man on screen, the try scorer, Carmichael Hunt. We'll wait and see if he can extend his season and his club's tonight with efforts like that. A kick from wide out to follow to make it 6-0, but nicely finished by Carmichael Hunt, but the lead-up work was first class.
Oh, the balls were great on the inside to create the space.
Parker kicking at 71% throughout the season, struck them well in the warm-up, hooks this one back as well. He gets the flags in the air, and the Broncos make the Dragons pay for trying to go for the two. They couldn't kick the goal. The Broncos come down the field off the back of a turnover and make it 6-0. Look at the work again of Kenny, who drew, passed. Lovely ball out the back from Lockyer, who knew exactly where Taylor was. He described it as a no-look pass. It was a no-look pass as well from Taylor to Hunt.
You just wonder about that decision by the Dragons to take that shot at penalty goal. Did it come from downstairs? Was it a decision that was made on the field, or was it a decision that was made before the game? If we get a penalty around the 40 or any inside it, do we take a shot at goal?
I'm going to say the moment the whistle blew, Dean Young turned around and held two fingers in the air. I think they were always taking the two. Here's Parker, taking it towards the 40-metre line.
It's a curious one when you look at where the game's been played. 75% of it in the Dragons' half. They had an opportunity to put some pressure on for the first time, really, and opted for the 2 points. They failed.
Now Boyd brings it back, and they were down there looking for a shot once again. Kenny was there, and so was Sims. They are joined at the hip defensively, those two. Working forward, the Dragons through Matty Cooper. Stopped there by Friday. Now Morris coming in. Going to spin out of the tackle of Kenny. Lockyer helps him. As Young gives it on for Wayne. A little tip-on ball there for Jeremy Smith, who wasn't quite ready for it. He had some defenders in his face when the ball came to him. And he coughed it up pretty simply. Another mistake in good field position by the Dragons. The Broncos have it here in the early plays. 10 on their own side of halfway, and they'll play it through Justin Hodges, who was terrific last week in that win of the Gold Coast Titans. Now the Broncos get a penalty. Fighting back to his feet, Ashton Sims maybe didn't hear the whistle.
Ben, I've got the call, mate, that they're offside.
I just think he wanted the little victory over his former teammates there. Matt Cooper trying to rough Sims up, and he was the player called offside. Another soft turnover by the Dragons in similar field position. It was a Matt Pryor turnover which led to the Broncos' field position and their opening try. We'll see whether Jeremy Smith's turnover ends the same way.
Early in the game, but a big set of 6 coming up in defence right here for the Dragons. Langisetu is out there. He's on for Ashton Sims, who came straight from the field after the penalty kick for the line was taken. Wallace turning Friday back underneath. Stopped there by Young. 15 out from the Dragons line. McCulloch gets to dummy half. He goes to Wallace. Now Lockyer again plays in motion. Taylor with a lovely ball. Back on the inside for Carmichael Hunt, who goes back to back. It's a double-figure lead for the Broncos, who have come to play in front of a full house here this evening.
And they've come with a couple of extra plays up their sleeve. The big man Dave Taylor has been at his rampaging best for the last month of football. This time, that's a pretty little offload. He sucks in 2 defenders. Carmichael Hunt did a great job to take that ball at full speed, hang on to it and run it into the in-goal area. Nicely worked move to the left-hand side.
The 9th double in the career of Carmichael Hunt. He's showing no signs of being in a hurry to run off to the AFL, is he? 10-0, 19 gone. And it's working like clockwork suddenly for Brisbane.
Well, a couple of turnovers. There we go. With Matt Pryor, the turnover led to the first try. The Jeremy Smith turnover and the penalty off the back of it has given the Broncos an opportunity to score number 2, and they haven't let the 50,000 fans here at Suncorp down.
Now Parker, 7 in from the touchline, an easier one than his previous attempt. He makes no mistake with this one either. 12 points to 0. What a start for the Broncos. And the minor premiers staring down the barrel already at going out in straight sets in the finals for 2009. The pass was absolutely beautiful from Taylor. The timing could not have been any better. It had to be precise, so close he was back on the inside off the big man's hip. But he hit the hole and there was never going to be any stopping him. Here's Nick Kenny bringing it back out. Good run from the front rower. The opening 20 minutes from him, perhaps the best opening 20 of his career. Standing up tonight to be counted in a big way. Now Hunt giving it to Setu. Takes it beyond Broncos' 30-metre line. McCulloch to Parker. Will just work it forward. Some good metres once again, though, for the lock forward. A fast play. The ball has the Dragons going backwards in defence. And Wallace will find the turf as a result. He had some time to get the kick away. And Boyd couldn't quite get to it on the full as a result. He stopped there just outside his own 20 by Israel Folau. Now Sailor, who gets the crowd out of their seats and finding their voice. They were up too quickly. Sam Thaiday, the player called out by Tony Archer, saying you're too quick off your line and you're inside the 10.
Well, I was going to say the Dragons desperately need a good set. Need to get at least over halfway or up near halfway for Soward to put a kick in that will give them some field position. They don't need it. They get the penalty. One of the few times they find themselves in Brisbane's half in this opening 20 minutes. Big shot. Look at what it is. Nick Kenny again.
Boy, oh boy. We saw Fui Moi last night dominate the middle of the field for the Eels against the Titans. And here is Kenny with some help there from Setu. But it was mostly Kenny as Morris goes for the corner and gets there as well.
Corner post then grounding.
Well, Is there anyone that can get to the try line quicker or knows a shorter route to the try line than Brett Morris? He was given absolutely no room to move there. I still don't know if he scored the try. But off the back of the penalty, Morris beats Yao Yi, Hodges, Lockyer come across. Is there a white boot that touches the line? I don't think there is. I think he stays in. Not only is he quick, he's strong and he gets there.
A good hit back by the Dragons off. Again, a penalty. Now, so important in 2009. The left boot stays inside the chalk. And that'll be green lights for Brett Morris and the St George Illawarra Dragons.
That is a super finish, isn't it, from Brett Morris? We'll just watch that left foot again. He's still a fair way from home. It's up in the air by now and the ball's down. That's a try. And didn't they need it, the red and whites?
Another look at it once again. It'll only be surely for the put down. Well, Darren Lockyer came around with his left boot and made contact with the ball. The put down's okay.
He's still got the ball down. There's no doubt about that. The ball bobbled loose when Lockyer's foot came in contact with it, but got the ball down properly. There it is.
It is green lights, as we expected. Paul Simpkins, the video referee, is taking no chances. He looked at every angle a couple of times right there. I'm sure there were some nervous Dragons watching on the longer that little moment played itself out.
I think it was worthy of that many looks. You just had to make sure that that left boot stayed in. It went awfully close to the touchline there. But again, what a great finish with no room to move. Nice little pass by Cooper to supply Morris with the space. But his strength to stay in with the attention coming from Justin Hodges and Darren Lockyer over the top. Remarkable stuff.
Nobody better than Brett Morris at finding the line. 24 tries in his last 22 games. Difficult one here for Jamie Soward. He was a 3 out of 4 man over the course of his career. Meter in from the touchline. Get them back with a converted try. He goes to his pre-kick routine. It's a good strike. Oh, it never looked like missing. It's handy when you can convert 4 into 6 from wide out like that. There is the try sneak par excellence. Brett Morris.
And here it is too, off the back of a quick play the ball. Look, Hodges never really set. Lockyer was in at marker there. They got out and around Nick Kenny, who'd just made a tackle too. So they did well, and the kick's gone dead on the full.
Suddenly, that 12-0 lead has been reduced to 6. Who knows what it might be? There may not be a lead in a couple of moments' time. The Dragons come down the field off the back of this kick for line from halfway. Comfortably out. Ben Hornby knew it all the way through the air. Not a great kick for the line by Soward, but they'll take that result anyway and come at them once again. A real nerve settler. The try and the conversion especially by Jamie Soward. Neville Costigan is out there. Wayne Bennett going to his bench. Now Soward taking them on. Running at Parker and also McCullough. They stop him just inside the Broncos 30-metre line. Young goes to Hornby. Thigh day up in his face. He had plenty of runners there. Ben Cray especially was screaming for the ball but didn't get a chance. Dan Hunt works it forward and loses it. A simple mistake by one of the forwards. And now Neville Costigan quickly out of marker. Jumps on top of Carmichael Hunt, who thought there was a penalty coming. No whistle from the officials. Now the ball comes loose from Justin Hodges. Luckily it goes backwards for Jarrell Yao Yi. They need to wrap him up. He beats tackle after tackle. And eventually it's Hornby who stops him 15 on the Broncos side of halfway. Parker back to the 40 when he plays it here after 3. Hunt gives it to Setu. Dragon himself, of course. beginning of his career. Somebody who struggled to really cement his place in his Broncos lineup. Last play here for Brisbane. Come back for Peter Wallace. A bit of pressure there from Dan Hunt. Boyd standing underneath it, makes the catch. David Taylor trying to make it a straight line, wasn't able to do so. Hodges coming up will wrap him up. And his former teammate is dragged down 8 metres out from his own line. Now Saylor didn't get a great pass. Would have been an easy one to put down right there, but the veteran hangs on to it.
Yeah, that was a tough pass. It was a floating type of pass. It needed to be a quick one, get to him quick and give Wendell as much time as possible. Good defence there on Brett Morris, who jumps out of dummy half.
Now Hornby giving it to Beau Scott, who's worn that number 3 jumper for most of the season after starting in the back row. He took the place of Chase Stanley, who was quickly out of a job as the man who was riding shotgun with Jamie Soward, who puts the kick in here. Beau Scott has been there ever since. The kick finds the open space as they were slow to get there. Both Hunt and Winterstein perhaps looking at each other as Dan Hunt comes down the field and makes the tackle on the winger. Here's Yao Yi bouncing back to his feet again. Hard to stop. He runs hard, doesn't he? He's quick, he's tough, and now Folau brings it back to the Broncos 30. McCulloch to Hunt, again putting his body on the line into the meat of the defensive line on this occasion. Dan Hunt was there, so was Costigan. Here's Lockyer, a ball back on the inside, put down by Tony Carroll. They'll give the Dragons possession at the halfway line as Justin Paul gets his first breather of the night.
That is the first mistake by the Broncos. That's the first turnover from the Broncos, and in great position if you're a Dragons fan or a player out there. Tony Carroll allowing the Dragons to start their set inside the Broncos half.
Here's Dean Young. Nathan Feen on the field, working it from dummy half, and Young going into a back row roll for the moment. Cray bouncing off defenders, giving it to Costigan. Comes back for Boyd. He links up with Cooper, who has struggled to find the try line in this 2009 season. Just 3 4-pointers in now 19 games. Young giving it to Soward. So numbers to the right-hand side. There were at least until Pryor put it down. There was a good chance right there for the Dragons.
He did well there, Jamie Soward. He hung onto the ball. He held it up. He held it up. He looked like he was going to pass quick. Then he saw he could. Look, he took Peter Wallace out of play there. And Matt Pryor in a half a hole. Look, if he hangs on to that, at worst, you get a quick play the ball. It was a legs tackle. And that's all the Broncos could get of Matt Pryor. He's had an ordinary night with his hands now. That's a couple he's turned over.
He's an 80-minute player for Wayne Bennett. As is Ben Cray on the other side of the field, of course, the back row. Ball comes loose here. McCulloch picked it up, though. He'll play it at his own 20-metre line. 28.5 gone. It's the Broncos 12. He'll lead the minor premiers 6. Hodges working it up towards the 30. Hasn't been able to do what he did last week out of dummy half so far. It's always hard to stop from that position. You need to be aware at marker. Tony Carroll. Fast play the ball for McCulloch. Lockyer from inside the 40. No idea of hooking it back for a 40-20 attempt. He went for the safe option down the middle of the field. Darius Boyd brings it back in a hurry once again to be stopped there by Peter Wallace. Feen it is, who gives it to Saylor, who's also been well contained on that right-hand side of the field. Loves to get in there on play 2, play 3, and do what he can do so effectively. Now Pryor with both hands on the ball this time, taking no chances. He plays it at the halfway line for Feen. Get a dummy half. He gave Saylor half a chance to put something on, but Winterstein saw the chance to come up and make a tackle before the big man wound up. Now Soward for Hornby. Comes out the back. Boyd throws a long ball. They slide across these Broncos defenders. Morris beats Lockyer, then Thaiday. Gets a pass away to Cray. It sets them in motion until Young was crunched, although he offloaded. Now Soward senses a chance to come at them. Lockyer came in and made an important tackle. Last from just outside the 30 here. And Feen it is who puts it up in the air. Some pressure here on Winterstein, who had an air swing earlier in the game. Makes a clean catch this time. There are some concerns for Brett Morris, though, on the other side of the field, who's hobbling on the wing.
Yeah, good kick by Nathan Feen and good play by the Dragons. Although they didn't go that far forward when they were offloading the ball, they moved the Brisbane defence around. They've got to do that. They can't just go one out. They've got to move the Broncos around, make them work. And they've got enough classy players there. If they continue to offload the football, they'll find a hole in the Brisbane defence.
Here's Thaiday getting away from one. Through the tackle of Dan Hunt. Took some stopping as well when Costigan got to him. Shoved him to the ground. Now Wallace chipping and chasing. Hunt is there. Oh, got a good bounce. Jamie Soward. He was tripped by Carmichael Hunt, who threw a leg out. No doubt in the world about it, and collected the right leg of Jamie Soward. It's play on though for the moment.
Yeah, gee, I don't know if that was the play from Peter Wallace there yet. There's no doubt the right leg came out from Carmichael Hunt. Big shot there from Langi Setu on Nathan Feen.
Here's Feen, a dummy half, giving it off to Dan Hunt. We'll wait and see what the match review committee make of that moment. Carmichael Hunt made contact with Jamie Soward with his leg. Should the Broncos advance, of course. Winterstein going up. It was punched forward by Wendell Saylor like he was spoiling in the forward pocket. And it will be a knock-on against the Dragons. Jamie Soward was taken to ground there after the kick. Both referees had a good look at it. It allowed play to continue on.
There's the shot. Langi Setu, who has pulled off a couple of beauties this year. Wendell Saylor punching the ball. I think that's what Wendell needs to do if Israel Folau's climbing up over the top of everyone, looking to score a try. Possibly not down this end of the field. You don't want to be punching the ball up Wendell.
May have been working on that at training during the week and
we forgot what end of the field he was at.
Exactly. Here's Wallace going to Corey Parker, who has been outstanding for the Broncos all season, the lock forward. He's been their captain on occasions when Darren Lockyer hasn't been available. And they work it back towards the halfway line. And play it there through Folau. Wallace's kick will be a low, grubbing one down the middle of the field again. Cleanly handled by Darius Boyd. Hands it off for Wendell, who almost got away there from the first up tackle of Alex Glenn, who got some help. And Glenn is out there with David Taylor, playing that wide running forward roll off the field for the moment. Morris looks to be okay after getting a knock only a couple of minutes ago. Hornby, a good ball back on the inside. Costigan, though, has put it down. And after they made a good start to the game with their handling, the Dragons right now have completed just 10 of 16.
And the back rowers. And look, that's the difference between the sides at the moment. Those short interchange, the short passes for the Broncos, they're under as much pressure, the ball carriers and the ball receivers. They're hanging on to them, they're sticking. Whereas for the Dragons, they're not. Costigan, Jeremy Smith.
Wallace, a little ball back on the inside for Carmichael Hunt, who was the go-to man tonight. He's the target. Now Lockyer in behind Tony Carroll, giving it to Corey Parker, who puts a kick in. Brett Morris under a little bit of pressure, probably had time to let it bounce one more to see where it was going to go, but wasn't taking any chances. The kick, as it turns out, from Corey Parker, ad-lib as it was, gets them 6 more tackles.
Yeah, because Corey Parker was the only one that knew the kick was on. There was no other chase from the Broncos. No one reacted to that. Brett Morris might have been able to just let the ball take another bounce just to see what it was going to do, but I suppose he had his back turned to the Broncos and decided to make a play at it and take it dead.
Jamie Soward using up some time on the clock. Floating goal line dropout. Picked up by Darren Lockyer. And it's Tony Carroll who's grabbed by the collar and then slightly beyond perhaps by Dan Hunt. The way Tony Carroll went through the air as if he'd been clotheslined, it was always going to be a penalty. He got him around the chin, the neck, before he grabbed him on the collar.
A little bit worse than I thought. I thought it was a collar grab, but I don't think no, he got him right on the chin. He got him square on the chin. So Tony Carroll, I don't think Dan Hunt can say he was beaten by the footwork. And Corey Parker will try to make it an 8-point ball game.
Well, this one you can understand. 5 minutes out from half-time, right in front, 35 metres out, to make it more than a converted try late in the first half. Should the Dragons go on to lose this game, they'll be second-guessed in the next 24 to 48 hours about their decision to take that early penalty goal from a long, long way out. Parker has struck them absolutely beautifully so far tonight. What he's done from wide out, back him with very short odds to make this one from right in front. And just like that, wouldn't you know it, he misses terribly to the left-hand side. Talk about the curse.
No, he's put it dead. They'll get another opportunity with the ball. Not what they wanted, but
if you could put money on the amount of times we say things like that, and the immediate opposite happens, you'd be a rich man, wouldn't you? Here's Tony Carroll, the man who was collected by Dan Hunt, which led, of course, to the penalty goal attempt. And he plays it back near the halfway line. Hodges taking it forward, well handled once again. They've been very good with him so far in the game, their defence. Thaiday charging at Hornby, and also Cooper. Gets them going in the right direction, back towards the Dragons' 30-metre line. Lockyer coming back towards Tony Carroll as they keep working it down this right-hand side of the field for the moment. They're set and spread to the left-hand side now. They've been good going that way so far in the game. Wallace, a ball well hung onto by Lungi Sedu. Didn't need to throw that pass, though. He did well initially to hang on to the pass. It was a difficult one for him. Trying to offload and gave it straight back to the Dragons.
Well, the fact that he never really had a good handle on the ball meant the pass was always going to be a risky one, and it was always going to be a messy one. Ben Cray hit under the ribs there. Tony Carroll, we've seen him do that plenty of times over the last decade.
Here he is again around the legs with Thaiday over the top as Hunt gets back to his feet to play it. Fiend feeding it off for Michael Wayman in his second stint in this first half. He plays it on the last play. They come back to the left-hand side for Hornby, who has some options. He goes to Cooper, who comes to Lockyer. Gave a pass away straight to Thaiday, though. They're looking to replicate what they did when Morris was able to score back in the 22nd minute. On this occasion, though, Lockyer made a good stop on Cooper. And falling awkwardly into the tackle there, Jarrell Yao-Yi got really rattled. It was accidental to contact, and fell awkwardly with his head and neck into one of the Dragons players. He's back on his feet. He looks to be okay as they take it back into Dragons territory. Parker will play it there. 2 plays left in this set of 6. Here's Wallace. Hunt again! Ankle tapped from behind. An important stop by Nathan Fiend. Here's Lockyer going to the line, getting a ball away. It goes to ground. Perhaps going for a little bit too much on this occasion as Bo Scott throws Israel Folau out of the ground.
Well, I think they're all set up for a little grubber kick there from Darren Lockyer. He decided to run the ball, but by the time he realised that, well, he wanted to give it to his outside men, they'd all run past him. Again, Carmichael Hunt up the centre. Gee, don't they look like Melbourne? Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater. It's almost a replica with Carmichael Hunt, Peter Wallace or Darren Lockyer coming up that centre. They will continue to work over those Dragons men around the middle and 8 defenders on either side of the ruck. They need to keep pushing from the inside, the Dragons.
They have the ball for their last possession of this first half. St George Illawarra from inside the 40. Nathan Fiend thinking about a 40-20. The kick had the angle as well, but Winterstein was back there playing deep early in the tackle count, ready for that eventuality, and it came to him. And now Folau will work it beyond the 40, back towards the halfway line for one last crack for the Broncos.
Well read by Winterstein, because he, no doubt they would have seen Nathan Fiend produce a 40-20 last week at Cogra, which set them up and should have won them the game. But the ball went the other way to the Eels. Peter Wallace stabs one into the corner.
Peter Wallace has won some games at this venue, of course, with his boot. He's kicked field goals in the past, and right there you would have thought perhaps a long-range field goal attempt to make it 7 the difference at the break. It stays at 6, though. 2 tries to 1. At the moment, the home side, seed number 6, on top of the minor premiers by a scoreline of 12 points to 6. It's an eerily similar situation to what we had here last year in week 2 of the finals. They were taking on the Melbourne Storm. They led 12 points to 0 at half-time, only to see Greg Inglis and the Melbourne Storm steal the game in the 80th minute off the back of an Ashton Sims mistake for a Melbourne Storm 14 points to 12 victory. On that occasion, the minor premiers escaping. We'll wait and see if the Dragons can do the same here tonight. Losing in week 1, trying to avoid going out in week 2 as we get back underway through Ben Hornby. The Dragon skipper with the kickoff. It goes down to Darren Lockyer to give it off to Tony Carroll. He provided some big hits. Brought it back with plenty of energy as well at times in that first half. Now Sam Thaiday picked up there by Beau Scott around the legs. Taken to ground as well by Nathan Feen. A bit of a push and shove as they get back to play the ball. And now Corey Parker. Here's Hunt giving it to Setu. Tremendous shot in that back end of the first half on Nathan Feen. Now McCulloch to Wallace, who's kicked from inside the 40. We'll find the try scorer for the Dragons. Brett Morris bringing it back, running at Lockyer, and his wingman, his long-time wingman, he was in retirement, came back out midway through the season to rejoin the Broncos. It looked to be a poor decision at one stage when they went through that slump, which ended back in round 21 with a 56-0 thrashing at the hands of the Raiders. They've gone on to win 6 games straight to this point of the season. Here's Soward back on the inside for Dan Hunt.
Well, if they're going to get out of trouble, the Dragons, their handling needs to be better in this second half.
Yeah, to Hornby. They're trying to rectify that right here. Boyd, a good ball for Cooper. Not a bad one for Morris, who was almost away there from Hodges, who grabbed him from behind. He needed to as well. The speedster might have been off. Here's Feen going to Sauer. He'll put it high in the air. Saylor coming through up against Winterstein. Neither got anywhere near it. It'll be play on with no restart of the tackle count. The last still. Sauer chips one over the top. Hodges standing underneath it. Puts the ball down, but they will say a knock on by Darius Boyd.
Well, gee, it was a bit complacent there by the Broncos. Jamie Soward getting the second kick in. And Boyd almost snatches it out of, well, the hair of Sam Thaiday. Got tangled up in Sam's hair.
You could get lost in there for a month.
Boyd knocking the ball on. The Broncos bringing it out.
Here is Carmichael Hunt bringing it back beyond the 30. It was a good call by the 2 on-field referees. There had been a knock on by Darius Boyd. Here's Thaiday. Brings it back to the 40-metre line. Early scare for the Broncos. They survive it to maintain this 6-point lead. Carroll it is. Takes it to the halfway line. Got there by Wayman and also Hunt. On the last play, Lockyer will kick it from the mid-stripe, and he finds the gap between Saylor and Boyd. And Wendell happily watches it go dead in goal. And he'll bring it back out to the 20 for the restart for the Dragons. 3 gone, no change to our halftime scoreline.
That was a good set by the Dragons that led to that kick, or the double kick from Jamie Soward. Terrific down the left-hand side. Matt Cooper almost putting Brett Morris away, and they go down the left again through Ben Craig. And he forces one.
The ball, a chance here for the Broncos. Play on. With Justin Hodges winding up, beating tackles, is only 10 metres out. A mistake by Craig. Here's Yao Yi going from dummy half, going close as well, popping it out the back. McCulloch is there. He stays alive. Dummies goes himself, and he's stopped by Hornby and also Hunt. They're set with numbers, plenty of them to the left-hand side. Oh, Darren Lockyer at first receiver. That is hard to believe.
Well, first the Ben Craig push ball. The Dragons under the pump, and Lockyer releases all of it. Here's Ben Cray. I don't know why he was trying to force that one out. There's 5 Broncos standing around him. They can't afford to make those sorts of mistakes. And Lockyer just snatches at the ball. It was a bit of a floater, but should have taken it. Darren Lockyer thinking about what he was going to do before he had the ball in his hands.
Here is Bo Scott fighting in the tackle, eventually dragged down as the screams of hell came from Tony Archer, one of our 2 referees. Now Pryor pinching a couple of metres. And now Wayman with a bit of a roll on, helps by that situation from Matt Pryor where he moved off the mark, very luckily not penalised by the referees. They bring it back to the 40-metre line. Here is Fiend going to Cooper. Supplied the pass for the try for Brett Morris. 29th minute. Here is Young going away to Soward. Flat ball, a good one as well for Bo Scott. Back on the inside for Pryor. He puts a ball on. Grabbed there by Israel Folau. A turnover on the last by the Dragons. They don't get to the kick yet again. And the Broncos will come deep in the attack at the back end of this set.
That's one thing that they aren't good at, the Dragons. When they do go left or right on 5th tackle play to look to run it, neither centre has looked like getting a kick in. We've got plenty of teams that can do that in the NRL. They take their metres when they know they're cornered, they get a kick away. Both times Cooper and Scott haven't done that.
Now Hodges getting away from Hornby. Into the backfield he goes, still chasing behind was Brett Morris, who grabs him with some help there from Ben Cray, and they'll stop him just inside the 20. Now Yao Yi comes to Lockyer. He's got McCulloch with him. He just wanted one more settler to make sure they were right to the left-hand side. This is the last now for the Broncos, 15 metres out. Lockyer will put it to the air. A chance here for Folau. Sailor is there, coughs it up. 6 more here for Brisbane. It landed in the arms of Corey Parker. The mistakes keep coming from the minor premiers. And the Broncos eventually here will make them pay. Folau will play it a couple of metres away. Parker. Wallace had to wait for it. He straightens as he comes to Wayman. Now Lockyer wants it. At first receiver to the right-hand side. Gets a better ball this time. Second man play for Hunt. They came in. Hornby. He read it nicely. And something in a hurry now. Thaiday going from dummy half. Did he get to the line? We will find out.
I'm just seeing where he grounded. I didn't see, mate.
Yeah, I didn't see either, because when I think by the time the camera got there, he was short, or the ball was pushed back into the field of play. I don't know whether it touched the line earlier. It was a quick play. The ball Thaiday out of dummy half. He swings around. He extends the arm. Well, I can't say that that's touched the line from here. From that angle, I'd say he's short, but we need the side-on shot.
You'd say no, wouldn't you?
I'd say no, but too hard to tell.
There's not much in it.
Well, I don't think you can say from that angle that the ball has touched the line. Ben Cray forces the arm back, which pushes the ball back.
See what Paul Simpkins makes of it. Have a look at just the one angle to this point. And he has a decision. I'm going to say red lights. Ref's call.
Wow.
Very short.
And Tony Archer sent it upstairs, said in his opinion he never got there. Lockyer goes to Wallace. Here's a split play. Now Hunt. 2-on-1. Folau will be hard to stop. But they did very well. Boyd was there, and also making the tackle on him was Bo Scott. A big stop there on Folau. Wallace kicking back to the other side this time. Oh, yeah, yay! What a leap from the rookie winger. If Izzy doesn't get you, Gerald just might. He makes it 16 points to 6. You can say yippee Yao Yi after that.
Yeah, what an effort, Gerald Yao Yi. Perfect kick there from Peter Wallace. On their line, all onside. There's no dramas there. Brett Morris, I thought he had a play at the ball, but he was well short. The kick didn't go out as far as Morris wanted it. Yao Yi read it perfectly. Got the line of the kick. and really unchallenged to the try line. What a season he's had. What a find he's been, Jarrell Yao Yi. Dangerous every time he touches the ball. He will become one of the most dangerous broken field runners, I think, in the NRL. Every time he gets the ball, he looks like he could do something with it. Quick, strong, good on his feet, and good in the air too.
He has a huge, huge future, doesn't he? Jarrell Yao Yi. They were blocking everybody, bar the winger. They forgot about him, and he came through untouched. Corey Parker makes it a big job right now for Brisbane. The Dragons are a long way back, 12 points in arrears. Here's the kick again, and you can see Hodges was the object of their interest. And what a reaction in the coach's box as well from Paul Green, the assistant, who will leave the club at the end of their commitments in 2009. Take up a coaching role with the Queensland Cup position, looking to further his future as a head coach before some stage returning, he hopes, to the NRL. At the moment, though, he's doing a pretty good job as an assistant to Ivan Henjak and a head cheerleader by that shot up there in the Brisbane coaching box. 12 points is the lead. It's a long way back for the Dragons now. Corey Parker at the halfway line. We'll play it here for McCulloch. Goes from dummy half on play number 5. Not a bad option. He picked out some metres, and it will make sure that Wallace kicks with no pressure on him. He'll put some pressure here on Darius Boyd in the corner. Adjusted well, and now they'll stop him a couple of metres out from his own line. And a big set of 6 coming up here for the Dragons to work it away from inside their own 20.
Yeah, good run by Brett Morris. If you have a look at the completion rates, 11 from 22. Dean Young off the field. It looks like an arm injury for Dean Young. Big defence there from the Broncos, but the Dragons haven't completed a set yet. Four sets with the ball, incomplete. There's Dean Young. It could be a broken arm straight up the tunnel for Dean Young.
Now Dan Hunt will play it for Nathan Feen. Hornby kicking from inside his own 40. But he'll pick out the man of the moment, Jarrell Yao Yi, who comes back and hops and skips, almost Benji Marshall-like on the return. And he'll be stopped there by Feen and also Soward. For you Dragons fans, the stats aren't good at this stage. 6 times this season, they've been down by 10 points or more in games. In those situations, they are 0-6 in 2009. Did not come back to this point of the year in double figures in arrears or more. Here's Lockyer floating across to the right-hand side, getting on the outside of Cooper, putting Hodges back on the inside, gave it back. Joel Clinton setting sail for the line, stopped only 9 metres out from the Dragons line. Looking for a huge try right here. Wallace grubbering, a chance and a try for Lungi Setu. The former Dragon coming back to haunt his old club. And the Broncos are on their way to Melbourne, it would seem, for week 3. Still almost half an hour to go. But they are putting the Dragons away suddenly here in this middle part of the second half.
Well, it's the Darren Lockyer, Peter Wallace show. Lockyer down the right-hand side, just playing with the defence. Lovely little turn on the inside to Justin Hodges, breaks a couple of tackles, picks up Joel Clinton, and then Peter Wallace just dabs it into the backfield. Langi Setu first there, dives in between 2 Dragons players, celebrates. Great play, 2 great plays by the Brisbane halves. Wallace's kicking game supplied the try for Yao Yi, now supplies the one for Setu. And it's been all the Brisbane team the opening 12 minutes, 13 minutes of this second half.
Well, this is quite remarkable. Earlier tonight here at Suncorp Stadium in the Toyota Cup, we saw the minor premiers, the Manly Sea Eagles, bundled out. They go out in straight sets in 2009 in these finals. was the Brisbane Broncos who did the damage tonight. And here are the Broncos on track to repeat the effort in the NRL against the Dragons. They'll love you forever, Langy, if you can go on with this side and pull off a premiership in 2009. What a return this is at the moment. The man who was here for 21 years, who left to go to the Dragons, Wayne Bennett. And their poor form of the last month and a half continuing on tonight in front of a full house at Suncorp Stadium. The Dragons in all sorts of trouble. It's 24-6 to the Broncos. And they can scarcely believe it around this stadium. They came here, I'm sure, expecting a knock them down, drag them out contest as we saw last year in week 2. But it was the Broncos against the Storm. And here we are, and it's 3 converted tries the difference.
Yeah, and here's the try. Peter Wallace just going to the line, finds the gap. The Dragons' defence all over the place. Look how staggered it was on their own line. That was why Wallace found the hole so easy. Clinton winds up and brings it back almost to the 20. The fortunes of these two sides over the last 6 weeks. You wouldn't have fed the Broncos 6 or 7 weeks ago after that loss to Canberra. And at that time, the Dragons flying high on top of the comp. How things changed in the final month and a half of the season.
Here is Carmichael Hunt, who it seems will have at least one more game in the NRL. The kick by McCulloch off the back of a Dragon. Flung out the back there by Sam Thaiday. Joel Clinton dived on it to keep possession. They'll have another chance here to get a clearing kick away. McCulloch this time. No mistake, almost a mistake at the back between Wendell and Darius Boyd. They just avoided each other at the last moment, and Boyd, the fullback, put it back beyond the 30. Here's Wendell now. Well, is this his last game of top flight rugby league? Langy said it. No thoughts in his mind about last games or careers coming to an end. Now Fiend out of dummy half, giving it to Justin Paul, who runs into the significant shoulder there of Setu. Bounced off the contact though to keep going. Now they'll come to the right-hand side. Here's Soward going to Beau Scott. Saylor comes back underneath him, away from the sideline. And they'll play it here, 28 metres out on the last. They go back to Soward. He puts it in the air. Hunt standing underneath. It doesn't get much protection. The ball's on the ground. The Dragons come up with it. Soward out the back. Picked up here by the Broncos. No, it's not.
No advantage. First knock on off Brisbane.
Knocked on, and it will be the Dragons who get it. The first knock on came from Carmichael Hunt.
Towering kick there by Jamie Soward. Almost paid dividends there is Wayne Bennett. A tough evening for the former Bronco master.
Here is Darius Boyd giving it off to Cooper. Morris looking for a second. Chopped. What a tackle that was by Jaralia, who might have been hurt. He absolutely cut him down, but he hasn't moved as a result.
Well, he just launched himself. He was low and launched himself at the legs of Brett Morris, and he did take them out. Oh, got his head in an awkward position in front of the hips of Brett Morris.
He just did not move from the moment he made the tackle. He's been left in a sick and sorry state right here. He has to leave the field, and that would seem likely the way he hasn't moved until just getting back at least to sit up for a moment there. Make it an interesting change. The man, of course, who has become the biggest wide player in the game in all sorts of ways, David Taylor, coming back onto the field. Take a look, 50,225 is our crowd tonight. Only a few no-shows for what was a sellout. Can't imagine why you wouldn't turn up for this one tonight.
Now, the home team have been great right from the word go.
Well, he's back on his feet. David Taylor did come onto the field, but he's going to come on for Lungi Setti. That's the change that Ivan Henjak makes. Good recovery from Gerald Yao to be able to continue on here.
Not only some of these kids that we've produced this year in the game are so talented, but they're tough to go with it.
Here's Soward. The ball back on the inside for Boyd. We'll play it about 9 metres out.
Just didn't do enough for his inside runner there, Jamie Soward. Just gave it to Darius Boyd, really, and took no defender from the Broncos out of play.
They're back midfield. Soward again to the right-hand side. Gets the pass from Fiend. Boy, it was a delayed one. I put him under all sorts of pressure, Soward. They came up. Wallace got to him, but he did well to catch and pass and give it off to Beau Scott. They come to the short side. Soward will change the angle, though. Chipping back towards the uprights. A difficult one, but Darren Lockyer was back there in the in-goal area making the catch. And they'll bring it back out to their own 20 for the restart. Not the kick they were looking for at the back end of that set. Howard avoided the crossbar, the upright before that, and it's way back towards the earth. I'll never know, but Darren Lockyer wasn't put off. Made a very clean catch, and now Hodges from dummy half will give it to David Taylor. Back close to the action in the middle of the field. There is Dean Young. You can imagine that sling on the arm would appear to be a broken arm.
It looked like he was grabbing the wrist when he left the field. And there it was.
He's in the scrum, mate.
Just looked like he got his arm caught between the shoulder of Yao Yi, the Bronco, with the ball, and I think it was Jeremy Smith over the top. Joel Clinton's come up with a drop ball.
That's right. You have to wait till the ball's out.
And the Dragons will get the feed. Jamie Soward, they're ready to put the ball in the scrum.
Come back on. Ball in.
As we get confirmation from the Dragons camp that it is, in fact, a broken left forearm for Dean Young. And pull off a miracle comeback here. Play no further part in their season. Boy, it appear to be long odds at the moment, as they've been out of sorts once again here, the Dragons. Here's Boyd, giving it off for Beau Scott. Nowhere to go. He gives it to Wendell Saylor, who likewise has to try and create something out of nothing in the end. All they did was lose about 5 or 6 metres on the play.
Yeah, look, Brisbane's defence has been great right from the start. Clinton looking for a big shot, but the inside men have just done nothing to create any sort of space for these outside men or their second man out the back in Darius Boyd.
Good tackle once again by Clinton underneath. Justin Paul taken down heavily. They come back to Soward on the last play. He kicks once again. Saylor is there. Nobody contesting the ball, though. Beau Scott was there and nobody going up for it in the end. Israel Folau barely had to leave the ground to make the catch. They have lost the compass, haven't they, the Dragons? Line breaks. 4-1 at this point of the game. There's now a mistake by the Broncos, whose completion rate will fall to 25 from 32. The Dragons at this stage, 14 from 25.
Oh, that's just not good enough. They were 11 from 18 coming into the second half, so they've only completed 3 sets in this second half, and down by 6 points after 40 minutes. They certainly needed to be a lot better in this second half of the game.
And the boys got a bit feisty for a moment there. They're happy to pack down the scrum now.
Come on, ball in. I'll stay at the scrum, Benny, after this.
Nathan Fiend will feed it. Soward. Hornby kicking early on the first play for Darius Boyd. The ball comes loose. Gerald Yao may not have cleaned it up cleanly. He did enough to knock the ball out of play inadvertently, as it turned out. A nicely worked move by the Dragons. It'll get them 6 more tackles. And they need to try more of that. Hornby taken to ground pretty convincingly by Alex Glenn. He did well, didn't he? He knew the ball had come loose there, Yao Yi, and knocked it purposely with his right arm out of play. Yeah,
well, they said they were going to try a couple of different things, the Dragons. That's a new play, but at 24-6, possibly needed to be put on a little bit earlier. Jeremy Smith takes it into the Broncos line. There has been some disappointing individual performances for the Red and Whites tonight.
Here is Justin Paul, who runs into Ashton Sims once again. Talk about some motivation coming up against your old club. Ashton Sims perhaps trying to bury some demons from week 2 of the finals last year. Here's Foon going to Soward, running at them, taking them on, but again grabbed there by Wallace. He had players on his outside, but he thought his best option was to tuck it under the arm and go himself. Here's Foon out the back, taken by Nightingale, fresh on the field. He gives it to Ben Creagh, spinning in the tackle. They've nullified him well tonight on that left-hand side of the field. Last play again for Hornby to kick towards Wendell Saylor, going up above them. Not cleaning it up was Winterstein, but Wallace got back there to save the day for the Broncos.
Yeah, it was going to be looked like it was another one too deep from the Dragons. Their kicking game hasn't been super, even though they haven't found themselves in a position to put many attacking kicks in. Winterstein did enough, and Wallace there just to knock it dead.
Less than 20 minutes remaining. The Dragons suddenly, just to get it to golden point, need to score at a point a minute to finish off the game. Jeremy Smith bringing it back, met there by Taylor and also Glenn. There's been plenty of shoulder in their defence tonight, the Broncos. They've been outstanding. Here is Cooper, back on the angle. Stopped there by McCulloch and also Sims, and he'll play it at the 20-metre line. Fiend gives it to Hornby. They're set to the right-hand side. Here's Scott coming in, though. Winterstein made the bump. Scott gets away from him, though, is still going. Can be hard to stop the former back rower. And he almost got there. He's only a metre out, perhaps less when he plays it. He'll play it for Nightingale. He fires the ball for Fiend. He saw a gap. Sims made a big tackle. Desperate tackle. He saved the try. Now Smith looking for the line. He got to the line. Did he get the ball down? We're going to check.
Just want to check for grounding here, thanks.
I don't know. There was plenty of Broncos there. They did a good job to recover pretty quickly. It was a quick play, the ball. Jeremy Smith out of there from dummy half. And Corey Parker underneath. Joel Clinton over the top. Oh, you know what? I think Corey Parker has pulled Jeremy Smith's arm back into the field of play before he got this down. The movement just there. I'm not going to give that to Jeremy Smith. You watch his arm, just as the ball's about to touch the ground, there's a push there from Corey Parker. Did a great job.
Doesn't go close. The ball didn't even touch the grass until well after the event, and you can see where the ball is by that stage, a long way from the white line. This will be a no try. We'll get the confirmation. There it is verbally, as well as visually from the big screen.
Fifth and last.
Came back as a ref's call, would you believe, as far as the screen was concerned, from Paul Simpkins. I'd like his monitor checked. Last play here for the Dragons. Soward will kick again for Wendell Saylor. Nightingale is also out there, but they blocked well, and Winterstein was up above the pack by some margin as well. Good catch by the winger, who had his moments early in the game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Didn't look safe under the high ball in that first half, but got under that one well. As you said, they did a good job just to block out any of the chase from the Dragons, who again failed to compete for the ball.
Here's Sims playing. Goes to Hodges. Puts a step on, wrapped up there by Creagh. Last tackle. Still inside their own 30 here, the Broncos. And Lockyer will kick. They can just get through their sets and keep kicking. And they'll win the game handsomely if they can manage that. Here's Boyd bringing it back. Good run back beyond the 40-metre line. Joel Clinton back to the bench for Ivan Henjak. His work was very good in that stint. Now Morris.
Well, he's had 12 runs, Brett Morris, but there's no doubt that he's been the toughest Dragon to get onto the ground. That's a heavy tackle there, and it did look awkward. Corey Parker, Dave Taylor involved.
It looked awkward. His legs were flying through the air for a moment there, but he came down on his back. There was never any suggestion that he came down head first. What you could see here, Matt Pryor is the man in question. David Taylor picked him up. You can see there, he came down on his shoulder and side. I don't know that that would have any concerns for the match review committee for David Taylor.
No, at worst horizontal, didn't get above it.
They say penalty sufficient in the Fox Sports match review committee box anyway. His feet. Running at Taylor and Sims. They stop him just outside the 10-metre line of Brisbane. 16 minutes remaining. Here's Hornby. Good ball for Cray, almost through the gap. They keep testing Darren Lockyer. He's made some important stops here tonight. Nightingale to Hornby. Now Jeremy Smith. He knows only the one way, Jeremy Smith. He tucks it under his arm and charges at them. Here's Fee. Hornby. Bypasses Pryor. Soward gives it to Saylor. Bounced away from Winterstein's attempted tackle. He gets going. Looking for the line and will get there as well. But we're going to check this one, I'd imagine, also.
Well, did it look like Wendell got the ball down there at one stage? At the end, they got underneath him.
They're not even going to check it. I thought it was worthy of a look. The impression was held up, but boy, he went pretty close right there. But Tony Archer was right on top of it. And he saw an arm under the ball the whole way. Here's Hornby going to Cooper. They'll score through Morris, who gets his second of the night. And it gives them a sniff.
Rightio, we'll need to kick at Jamie Soward, but there's still 15 minutes left. I think he got the call right too on Wendell Saylor, that second look. No doubt that there was an arm under the ball, and at no time did Wendell get the ball on the grass. They shift to the left. Good ball by Hornby. Matt Cooper into a bit of space. Lockyer raced up to make the tackle on Jamie Soward. No, it was on Ben Hornby. Justin Hodges just caught infield a bit, and the ball from Hornby gave Cooper some space. He was able to set up Morris. He runs the try in. Jamie Soward from the sideline. Well, he'll just need to kick it. There's no doubt about it. If they continue to score tries, Soward will just have to keep kicking the goals.
That's the position they're in. From wide out, he hits it away to the left-hand side. An important miss for the Dragons. Despite being back within 14, it still makes it very, very tough. 14 minutes remaining as we watch it again. Hornby did well, Lockyer advancing at him. But when he got the ball away in time, Hodges wasn't able to get to Cooper, who linked up with Morris for the second time tonight.
Stay behind!
Well, if one goes up, the other's got to follow. Justin Hodges sat back there. Lockyer up and put pressure on, but Hodges didn't follow his inside man.
Here's Jeremy Smith bringing it back for the Dragons. Let's see what they've got left in the tank. They'll need plenty. Here's Hornby. The Broncos show no signs of dropping off the intensity in defence. The Dragons are going to throw everything at them in this final quarter of an hour or less now. Fiend it is. Play it for Nightingale. To the dummy half and brings it back towards the 40-metre line. 4 plays gone. They need to try their luck a couple of times from their own end. Paul, though, carries it on play 5, and they'll kick through Soward. No, they won't. He goes to the line, gives it to Nightingale. Now he'll kick towards Saylor. Picked up, though, by Winterstein. A variation on the last play from inside their own half. Had the kick been deeper, there were plenty of Dragons chasers, but it was perfect. Perfect for Winterstein, that is.
Well, he looked for Jamie Soward back on the inside there. He was held up in the tackle, and his only option was to put it on the foot. They just needed a bounce. They didn't get it, the Dragons. Wallace out of dummy half. Brett Morris up.
And now the kick will find touch. A metre out from the Dragons' line.
That's a great kick. When you've got a team coming back into the game and willing to force their arm, Wallace just slows things down.
And what a game he's had with his boot as well.
Outstanding.
Peter Wallace, 2 kicks for tries in this second half to take the lead from 12-6 to 24-6. Kick the fine touch right there. A metre out from the line. Here it is again from his own side of halfway. We'll use up the clock. Make the Dragons work it away, a long way from where they need to be. Corey Parker firing up his troops. And here he is making a tackle on Wendell Sailor. Less than 12 minutes remaining. Still 14 the difference. Dragons pinned inside their own 20. Nathan Fein eventually will play it here in the tackle there of Alex Quinn. Ben Cray and Darren Lockyer racing up quickly. How many times have we seen that tonight? He's timed it nicely. The Brisbane captain, Dan Hunt, or rather Cooper it is, will play it. Fein gives it to Soward, chipping over the top this time. Morris chasing through, touched by Jarrell Yayi, who got back there, played it to himself, and retains possession for the Broncos at their own 40-metre line. Hunt plays it for Israel Folau. Hasn't been the factor you might have imagined coming here tonight. He's played his part. So has Hodges on the other side of the field. The minor premiers, perhaps just 11 minutes remaining in their season. An incredible turn of events. Has been so much talk about the McIntyre system. I guess off the back of this result, if the Broncos go on to win, there'll be more chatter about it in the week leading up to the game next week. A ball off the foot there. And Darius Boyd to Wendell Sailor. Luckily, he was just behind him. They're running out of time in a hurry here, aren't they? Bo Scott at his own 20 when he plays it. On play number 2 is Justin Paul. Taken to the ground by Sam Thaiday, who has been terrific. 25 tackles and 19 hit-ups for Slam and Sam. Ben Cray.
And apart from losing the battle, apart from when you have a look at their completion rates, the Dragons have been out-muscled up front. There's no doubt about the Broncos winning that battle in and around the ruck. Their big men have beaten the likes of Wayman and Paul.
Here's Cooper keeping it alive. Soward trying to win it out wide after they've beaten, as you say, Brandy, down the middle. Ben Cray wrapped up there by Parker and also Wallace. Last tackle. They need a result. Fein kicking in behind them. And I want it to find touch. Winterstein comes forward to take it. Keep it in play. He'll be stopped there by Matt Pryor, 20 out from his own line. Hunt runs to dummy half. Tries to run away from Wayman and almost did so. Ben Cray came in to make the tackle. Otherwise, Hunt was away. Here is Thaiday. There's run number 20 for the game.
Yeah, gee, takes a lot of pressure off the forwards, doesn't he? Carmichael Hunt runs like a forward. Here he goes again. Rips one up the middle. His second carry for this set.
Now Nick Kenny. He got them going. A sensational opening to the game from the front rower. Now Lockyer puts it in the air. Some pressure here on Sailor. Going backwards. Makes a good catch. Wore a shot from Winterstein. He was strong under the high ball there, Wendell, and he had to be also. But here they are again, inside their own 10. And the clock now reads 8.5 remaining.
Well, this is how they started the game, the Dragons, bringing it out of their own 20. The Broncos dominated the early proceedings. The first scoring chance of a scoring play, the Dragons take a shot at goal. From that moment, we get the Broncos going back-to-back with scoring tries back-to-back. And here they are again, the final minutes of the match, bringing it out of their own end again.
Now Soward, another chip over the top. A chance here if he gets a bounce. He does get a bounce on the fly. He fires a lovely ball into row 4 of the grandstand. He's linked up with Wendell Sailor on plenty of occasions with lovely passes this season. But in a desperate situation, we understand the glum looks on the faces of the fans because that one was never going to hit the targets.
No, it wasn't. It was a nice piece of play from Jamie Soward. Just not the finish. Well,
is this the finish? Is this it for that man? Wendell Sailor. His future in doubt, unsigned for the Dragons. Beyond the end of this season, they will have an important decision to make. I hope they keep him. I hope he plays on, because he has been one of the stars, one of the top 3 or 4 stars of this season in 2009, hasn't he, Wendell?
Well, on and off the field. I think Wendell's form warrants him running around again, and I'm sure he wants to. He's certainly not out of place, Wendell. Lost a yard of speed. That's Wallace down.
He fell awkwardly in the tackle, and he slumped back to the ground. Immediately he played the ball, and he clutches at a left ankle. Here's a kick in behind them. Kenny chasing through. Soward gets there.
Broken
and he
field.
runs away from the cover defence. He gives it off to Brett Morris. Thaiday chasing. Won't get to him. He steps back on the inside. Gives it to Nightingale, and is stopped by Gerard Yao Yi. Desperate Broncos defence. Cooper, he goes from dummy half. He slammed the ball down. Tony Archer wants to take a look.
Double movement.
Well, did he slam it down, or did he try and pass it when he was short? Great tackle, Yao Yi. Terrific work, Jamie Soward. Broken field situation. Here's Cooper going for the line. Carmichael Hunt's there. Tony Carroll.
Well, he lost the ball, but it was a second effort anyway, because his hand touches the ground right there. And he lunges with it again and extends the arm, trying to put the ball down, but he lost it in the motion. This will be a knock-on. But the main story, while we watch this grounding, is not Matt Cooper and the Dragons. It's the Broncos and their win. But the potential injury they have suffered to Peter Wallace, who was back on the ground a long way from the play while that was happening at the other end of the field. We will get the confirmation of the call from the video referee, Paul Simpkins. He says no try as expected. But there is Peter Wallace going up the tunnel, and that potentially is an image that could ruin the Broncos season.
Oh, what a body blow. He has been outstanding, Wallace. There he is, going to the line, and this is a tackle. Oh, he's just been caught underneath Nathan Feen, the player. All his weight on that ankle. He did not get up from that and was assisted from the field, so you can only imagine the seriousness of it, and made his way up the tunnel, as we just saw. He has been the conductor, along with his captain, Darren Lockyer. They have both been outstanding tonight.
Here is Nick Kenny, taking it across the halfway line. There'll be much made, of course, of this Dragons flame-out in the finals, as the Broncos almost come up with a chance there for Antonio Winterstein off the boot of Darren Lockyer. That would have been the plan, but it almost worked out. There'll be a fair bit made, of course. There's Dragons going out in straight sets. We use the tennis term. You go back to the losing streak that started in Canberra, and the news before that of plans for grand finals, T-shirts being printed, being lined up anyway, inquiries about the World Club Challenge date for next year, of course, the NRL Premier taking on the winner of the UK Super League. And
I know it
was there a curse? Did they jinx themselves by getting ahead of themselves, the Dragons?
Well, they just might have, but I know that raised a few eyebrows, but at the time they were flying that high that many thought, well, you know, I can understand them inquiring about that. That's how confident Dragons fans were. Intercept, Taylor.
Look out if he gets a bit of space in front of him. He went past Darius Boyd like he wasn't there. Corey Parker ended up with the offload from the Coal Train, and he'll play it about 38 metres out from the Dragons line. Just over 4 minutes remaining, and the Broncos would like one more here, but they would like even better news from the dressing room as to the condition of the left ankle of Peter Wallace. Here's Taylor again, another offload. He gives it to McCulloch. Goes back. And they'll take it forward through Tony Carroll. He'll play it 30 metres out to McCulloch. Now Lockyer. Here's Canning. Good shot there from Matt Pryor. They needed a lot more of that earlier in the game. It might have hurt his teammate Jason Nightingale. Carroll now. Oh, spun through the air by Beau Scott. Tony's okay. There's no drama. One of the hardest men to have played the game in recent memory. Here he is again. Good tackle by Beau Scott. He's got him in an awkward position there trying to finish it off. There's no drama for Tony Carroll.
His return has been important for the Broncos. Of course, hung the boots up at the end of last year, but has been back now for 10 games. Talked back into running around. Plenty of experience, tough, great defender, strong with the ball.
As Corey Parker lines this up, we need to start thinking about who will take the place of Peter Wallace next week, first off against the Melbourne Storm, because the news from the dressing room, the Brisbane Broncos, he has torn ligaments in his left ankle and he is out for the remainder of the season.
Wow, that is a blow.
It'll be a big call that Ivan Henjak has to make. Corey Parker, in the meantime, misses. Pretty simple range there, wide to the right-hand side. It stays 24 points to 10 with just over 2 minutes remaining. But the game has long been in the keeping of the Brisbane Broncos. They're headed to Etihad Stadium in 7 days' time. What a game that will be. As the goal, or the 20-metre dropout comes, down to Darren Lockyer. Of course, we've seen Ben Hunt, the Toyota Cup halfback, fill in for Peter Wallace this season. Will they go to the rookie, or do they go with experience and play Darren Lockyer in something of a solo role in the halves?
Well, going on what we've seen so far, and Ivan Henjak at times has had to use some of those young players that are still playing in the under-20s after their win over Manly tonight. I think you've got to go with the experienced man, and gee, it takes a lot away from them, but that's forward, that pass from Taylor.
They tried to replicate the play they scored off in the first half. It was a beautifully set move. On that occasion, the pass was forward from David Taylor. And the game will grind to a halt here. The clock stops with just over a minute remaining. Boy, it was hard to see the scoreline coming here tonight. 24 points to 10. It shaped up as a very even contest. There was nothing between the two of them in the betting before the game. And here they are, the Broncos. Arresting run of outs against the Dragons. They've certainly had the wood on them in recent times. And the Dragons will suffer a 4th consecutive finals defeat for the first time since 1947.
Since when?
62 years ago, Brandy, since they lost 4 finals games in a row, the Dragons. Costigan a ball for Pryor, knocked backwards, picked up by David Taylor, grabbed from behind. And right now, Ivan Henjak just wants the siren to sound before anybody else gets hurt. Israel Folau has spent plenty of time this season on the sidelines with a leg injury himself. Plays it for McCulloch to Hunt, who takes it to the line. David Taylor back on the inside there, taken on suspicion. There is Peter Wallace, at least back on the bench to watch the final few seconds. But the word is from the Broncos camp itself that he will not take any further role in this 2009 campaign. Brett Morris taken over the dead ball line. The Broncos advance to the preliminary final. They'll take on the Melbourne Storm for a spot in the grand final. They've beaten the Dragons tonight. The minor premiers go out in straight losses, 24 points to 10.
The Dragons, unbelievable. Beaten by the Eels, beaten by the Broncos. No more for 2009. And the Broncos were fantastic.